Hello from Stitch Bliss Corner. I just was thinking about us as stitchers, and I think really we're artists. And you might think, well, no, I'm not an artist because I find a chart and I follow it, and that is the artist, the person that charted it, the person that created that. Well, that's a valid point. But at the same time, if you think of photographers, they describe themselves as artists, and yet they don't make what they take a picture of. It's already there. I mean, it's already created. A beautiful sunset. They didn't paint that sunset. They took a picture of it, and then they developed it. They played around with it, or, distorted it in places using various photographic techniques. But they describe themselves as artists, even though what they've taken a photograph of, they didn't actually create themselves. And when you look at stitches like Stitcherista, she was showing some ink circles, and the first thing she did was say, well, I'm going to do a different background and I'm going to change all the colours out, and that made her an artist. And as far as I'm concerned, you're all artists, because this is what you do. You get a design that you like, that speaks to you. You go out and purchase it, but from the minute it comes into your house, you're thinking, now, will I use that cloth for the fabric for the background, or will I find something that's more appealing, that looks better? Will I use the particular threads the artist or the designer has suggested, or will I put my own stamp on it? And when you think about it, even when you first start, even if you copy the suggested fabric, the suggested threads, and everything else to the letter, it's still your artwork, because your stitches are unique. Your stitches are what makes the work. And I don't know, I think we tend to, I'm just a stitcher, You're not just anything. You do fabulous things, Some of the work that I've seen from the different Flosstubers, they're just, I don't know, there's something magical about them anyway. And you can see the personality quite often coming through the stitches. And therefore, I, in my humble opinion, we shouldn't feel as though we're just stitchers at all, because we're not just stitchers. We're taking the raw materials and making something that will last for generations. I mean, just have a look at some of the samplers that you see. I mean, do you look at that and think, somebody just stitched that? Or do you look at it and think, my goodness, that girl was only 12, and look what she did, Well, my obsession with Mary, Queen of Scots. I mean, some of the artwork, it's left behind, some of her stitchery, and it's beautiful stuff. And don't quite know what I'm trying to say, but I just feel as though we tend to not belittle what we do, but we tend to, if someone gives you a compliment and you say, oh, well, I really only did the stitching, it's not really mine. But it is yours. And be proud of it. Be proud of what you... I would have loved to have something that my grandmother did, or my great-grandmother did. I have nothing. And as a child, I do remember that my grandmother used to crochet doilies, and they used to be like flowers that sat up out of the crocheting. Unbelievably beautiful. And yet, somehow or other, we moved countries, so maybe that is one of the reasons why we lost contact with them. But I mean, as a child, I didn't really understand the significance of having something like that. And all of the cross stitches that I've done, I've got a label on the back to say who's to get it when I've gone. Because what they do with it after that is their own affair. But I mean, it's something to think about, because my Auntie Ruth, she did a beautiful scene of a village. I've got it in the bedroom. I'll have to bring it out and show it to you sometime. And I was trying to take photographs of that so that I could cross-stitch it in the future, or, design some kind of chart to embroider it or create some imitation of it. It would have been a very sad imitation, but anyway. But to my joy, she gave it to me, and it's such a treasure. Every night before I go to bed, I've got a line of pictures that I see before I go to sleep, and hers is one of them. And I think that's the significance of what we're doing, what we're all doing. We're all creating our own bit of history. We're all able to leave things for other generations to see, to think, I wonder who that person was. I wonder what that person felt when they were stitching that. I wonder what sort of life they had. And I mean, you see people say, oh, I'm a licker of my thread, or or I don't lick my thread. And you think, look, lick it. Put your DNA on there. Who knows? In the future, they might be able to just take a tiny bit of your work, like take the back off and take a bit of DNA evidence, and they'll know all of your relatives back to Cato. They'll be able to... Yes, well, there's a thought. I mean, I did see that... I won't go into that subject. It's a bit macabre, so I'll leave it at that. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Well, that was the principal message I wanted to get through, that, think of yourselves as creators, as talented, as something to be proud of, to boost your confidence about, to think, when something's on the wall, I did that, and it wasn't just following a design or a pattern or it was more than that. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's you. It's you on that wall. And when someone compliments a work, think, yes, that I'm the one that made that. Not everybody, well, you know, we can all create something. We all have talents. But not everyone can do what we do. You know, some of them wouldn't even know that they can't do what we do, because it requires a lot of patience, it requires tenacity, it requires that inner desire to create something. And there are people that don't have that desire. So just put a little spring in your step when you're walking along and think, yeah, I'm not bad. I can do things. And you know, you've got your stash of things, you've got your whips in progress and things to come. You know, you never know when your next inspiration is going to carry you, and you think, wow, you know, wouldn't I love to stitch something like that? And that's what makes you unique as a stitcher, as a creator. Anyway, that was just a thought from Stitch Bliss Corner. Have a lovely day and happy stitching.